So hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to continue on with the 1972 Plymouth Fury. We are working with a very rusted out roof due to a bad vinyl top. And I mean, it was ate up bad in case you missed it. So on the previous videos, we did put some reinforcing, back up inside on the bottom side of the roof. I reinforced it with some stainless steel that I had laying around. And we got it all tack welded in, good to go. Kind of added some strength and some rigidity back to the roof. It was so bad, very flimsy. I mean, you barely touch it and it would flex. Super weak, so we had to do something. Today's video, I'm going to get in there with some fiberglass resin. I'm basically just going to dump it on there and let it kind of ooze down into the holes, bond those two panels together, the old roof with the new material that we'd put on the bottom side of it. Once all that's bonded together, we're going to start our bodywork and we're going to build up our layers, and then we're going to put some spray-on bed liner material that we got from Walmart, and you are going to be amazed at how well this turns out. I promise you, I can't even believe it turned out this well. So let's get started. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Basically went through with my DA here, roughed up the area with 80 grit. This is the sheets that we put in from underneath, roughed those up as well. You can see we got just a little bit of what they call oil canning, right? Well, I think this is what's going to fix that. Let's just pour this on here. We'll start in this biggest spot first and just let that ooze right down into all those craters, right? And I think this will glue itself together after this. This will be nice. Just like that. So I'll get all this on here. We'll mix up another batch. Well, I'm going to take my brush and kind of smear it around, or maybe I'll just use my paint stick. Just kind of work that into these holes is mainly what I'm wanting to do. And that's going to ooze down to that other layer, that inner structure, that homemade inner structure that we installed, our stainless steel sheets, right? Man, that stuff is very rigid and is working really good on this actually. So anyway, we'll kind of let this, kind of has a self-leveling effect going on here, and it's oozing down into all those crevices. And obviously we'll have to mix some more up if we want to do this entire area. Kind of got me a little, I would say probably 2 square feet maybe marked off there. I'm going to work this little area first. This is the worst of it, obviously, out in the middle of the roof. But I think this is going to fix it right here. So that's going to do it for this batch, it looks like. Let me mix up some more. This is what we're using, cheap stuff. Get it at Walmart. And it's just a 2-part thing. We just want to mix up some of the hardener here. This is the catalyst. It doesn't take much. Drip it in there. And it's a clear liquid is all it is, the hardener. Get in there, get it all stirred up really well, and just pour it on there. So after you're sure you've got it all mixed up thoroughly, you just want to pour it on there just like we did before. Get it into all those little holes. Just let that stuff ooze down in there. Just like before. It's kind of fun actually. I feel like I'm doing some kind of an art project or something. Got a little more over here. I'll take my paint stick and just kind of force it down in there. Kind of shake it around. Get that to come out of there. Use our stick. I want to get all of it. I don't want to waste none of it. It's the cheap stuff, but still, I don't want to waste it. And really, is anything cheap anymore? Something like that. We'll get it down in there. Once you get to these little tiny holes, I guess you don't really need it so much as you do the bigger holes. So I kind of drag this off over here. I do have a bigger area right here that I'd like to get that into. There we go. There we go. I like that better. Do the same over here. We'll drag this off over here. Get some of these holes. Again, we roughed this up with 80 grit prior to doing this. This is Eastwood's rust encapsulator. That's what we sprayed on first. We kind of hosed it down with that, and they do recommend that you go back and rough it up if you want to top coat it. You can use it as a top coat all by itself, it says, or you could top coat it, paint it, whatever. And if you do that, they do recommend that you go back and rough it up. So that's exactly what we did here. Found me another little hole right there. There we go. And like I said, once you get to these little tiny holes, I mean, the next step will take care of that, no problem. So anyway, we're just about to get all of this. Man, that is fun, y'all. I decided to go ahead and do the whole middle section of this roof. Now to move on, I'll have to go in and put a little bit of tape on the inside of some of these holes. You know, like this one right here, this part is kind of over closer to the edge, so it didn't get the interstructural patch like the center section did. Not to worry, not a big deal at all. We could go in, put a little tape on the inside of that, and then once we go over it with this stuff, it'll make like a shell to where when you go back and peel the tape off the bottom, I mean, it's patched, you know what I mean? So anyway, this is what it'll look like when you're done, obviously. I mean, there's the center section. Look at that. That stuff is glued in there now. That is all one now, all one piece. So, man, I just can't imagine any of this going anywhere after this. This stuff is so strong. Get me a few pieces of tapes ready. I'll put these on the inside like we mentioned. There's that one, that one. I've got a few more, obviously. Went ahead and pulled it outside, let the sun hit it for a little bit, get it nice and warm. You can see here where it's all working out. Went ahead and spread this all kind of all the way around the perimeter of it, and then out here in the middle, got this. Of course, you saw me apply that a minute ago. It's getting, look at that. I mean, it's all gluing itself together now. Remember, it kind of had a little bounce there. Now it's all one piece. I mean, this thing is getting really solid. So anyway, we'll go through and buzz all of this down with the DA here in just a few minutes. I'm gonna let it sit out here, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes or so. It's a little warmer out here in the sunlight than it is in the shop, and you know, I could feel my metal temp feels way warmer than it did just a minute ago. So yeah, sunlight does make a difference, especially if you're working on a cool day. Today is about 70, but in the morning it's a little chillier than that, so this will help us out. Well, it is dark now. I've been working on this for the better part of a day now. This is where I'm at with it. Basically, I wiped the entire roof with that fiberglass, the kitty hair stuff, and then I buzzed it all back down. And then I just took and just wiped a super thin coat of just a skim, what we call a skim coat, filler, to kind of get out some of the little, can you see there, the little imperfections, the little divots and stuff. So that just kind of helps smooth it out. This is where the strength comes from, this, and then of course the stainless steel plates that we stuck on the inside. This roof is very, very rigid at this point, really strong. As long as it all stays stuck, we ought to be all right. You can see over here on the sides, we did the same thing. We went with the fiberglass. That's what you see here, the gray stuff kind of poking out here and there. That's all underneath, and then just a really light skim coat of the glaze right over the top of it. Kind of helps smooth things out. We don't have to get super crazy with it, y'all. I mean, look, we can still see just some little lights, you know, just some low spots here and there. Not a big deal when we're doing the bed liner. If we were going to paint this roof, we would go through and we'd keep sanding until we get it nice, perfectly flat. We'd break out the long blocks, all that kind of stuff. I'm only sanding this with my DA and what we call a mud hog. That's this big old boy here. I mean, this thing is huge, and it gets the job done. And I've just been kind of just skimming right over the top with it with some 40 grit sandpaper, knocking that stuff right back down again. It's working well. It's working fairly quick. I know it sounds like I've been on it for a long time, but I mean, considering the size of this panel, this is nothing to be on something like this for at least half a day. I saved this spot over here just because I wanted to show you guys exactly how I went about doing this, and I wanted to show y'all what was underneath all of this. So I'm gonna go ahead and wipe this last little area just to kind of, like we mentioned, to get rid of some of the little divots that's left behind in the fiberglass filler there. Just kind of smooth it up a little bit more. Once we're done with that, I've already gone through, I did this kind of off camera. I just took a flathead screwdriver and I went through and I just scraped my windshield channel out. There was a little bit of what they call the butyl tape. That's what they glue these windshields in with. And basically they sit it down in there and it squishes it all out, which is fine when you have trim on to hide it, but we're not putting the trim back on right now. We're gonna leave it off, and there won't be anything to hide it. So I went ahead and got all that out of there, cleaned the channel all the way around. I'm debating, y'all, I don't know if I should go ahead and run my bed liner spray all the way through here, you know, like it would be if it had a vinyl top on it, which is kind of what we're trying to mimic here, a vinyl top. It doesn't need anything down here, but I don't know. Just to tie it all together, I'll probably just go ahead and put it down through there too. I did the front windshield the same exact way. Just got in there, cleaned that channel out with my screwdriver. Looks like I might have missed a spot right there. That's okay. I'll go through and there we go. Got it out of there. That ought to work. So anyway, at this point, like I said, we'll finish up that other little spot on the other side. I'll show you guys exactly step by step what I did to make this all work. It's super easy. I mean, anybody could do this. This should last for a while. How long, that's the question. We don't know for sure, but we're gonna find out. So I am using a good quality filler. This is made by 3M, kind of a lightweight filler. It'll dig us enough out to do that spot with. It's a skim coat, meaning it's super thin, and then the majority of it just gets sanded right back off again, so you're really left with hardly anything at all. So it might look like a lot of mud when you're looking at that roof. You see that big old panel and you see all that stuff spread out on there and you're thinking like, dude, that is a mud wagon. It's really, really thin, and I'm probably overkill at this point. I could probably skip this step. The bed liner spray is more than thick enough, I think, to hide all those imperfections. But I don't know. I can't let it go. I gotta do something with it. So that's why I'm going ahead and adding in this extra step. Probably not necessary. When you're mixing your filler, they say don't stir it because you could create pinholes, because you're basically mixing air into it, right? So you want to kind of spread it out, then gather it back up. That's the way I do it. Flip it over. Keep wiping your spreader off. You see how I just keep that spreader cleaned off? The reason being is that hardener can get stuck to your spreader, and then you won't be mixing it into the rest of the mud like you need to. So anyway, just kind of gather it up, spread it all out. The key here is to don't add too much of the hardener to the filler, because you won't have enough work time and you won't have enough time to get it mixed thoroughly. So I think I'm going to call that good. Let's get that cleaned off my spreader there. Let's head to the car. Alrighty, let's get some of that on there. I'm going to follow the shape of the car, meaning that since the roof kind of rolls over that edge, well, I want to take my mud and roll it over that edge as well. I don't want to go this way. I want to go this way. Roll it up over the edge. It's always good when wiping your filler to go back and forth. Go wipe it on one way, then go back the other way. That helps work the air out of it. Now that we're up here off of that rolled over edge, we could come across this way. Remember, back and forth. Now, do you see how thin it is? I mean, it's really, really thin. And the way you do that is you run that spreader up just like that. You see that? If you don't lay it down, run it up like this. Look at that, man. We are wiping that right on there, just the way I want it, man. That's working out just right. Yeah, you see what I'm talking about when you raise that up like that? Man, it just rolls that off there like hot butter. Come over here, we'll do the same thing right here. Nice, Now, remember what I said, follow the lines of the car. We're gonna roll up this way. You can see how thin that is, man. That's really thin. And then, hell, we're gonna come along with that 40 grit and sand most of that off as well. So it won't be thick at all. And like I said, this part is nothing more than to kind of smooth it out just a little bit more. And like I said, probably overkill, probably not even necessary. We're doing it anyway. All right, yeah, so I'm gonna use my Mud Hog here, and this thing, it's not like a dual action sander. This one just spins around and around in a circle. And what that's going to do is that's going to work this material off really, really quickly. This one over here is what they call a kind of a dual action, an orbital actually. What it does is instead of just spinning in a circle, it wobbles. And so what that does is that it's a little more forgiving. You could get in here and you could work this down rather slowly and not really have to worry about anything. This one too, this is an actual DA. This is more of a finish sander here. The reason they call this a DA is it's dual action. It can do two things. It can either spin around in a circle like a grinder, right? Or you can lock this little guy into place right here. And what that'll do is that'll make it where it's like an orbital where it wobbles. All right, so dual action, you do both with that. This one here, more of a finished sander, kind of an orbital sander, and it just kind of works the material down rather slowly. And then this guy here, man, it's going to get after it. I use this as a shortcut, you know. I could come over here, man, I can hit it, you know, get it close really fast, and then jump over to this, kind of finish it up and all of that. So that's what we're doing now, and I'll show you here, man. This thing does work quick. Got to put your mask on, y'all, so hang on, give me a second. Man, thing's a beast. I think I'm gonna call that good with that one. See what I mean by just kind of getting it close. Kind of stayed away from my edges. That thing, man, it'll tear into an edge real quick. So I kind of stay away from with that, and I will switch over to this guy. And you could do this one if you wanted to. I took the pad off of it. It tore on me is the reason I'm not using it right now. I just kind of switched over to this one. This should do fine. Just kind of finishing this the rest of this up around the edges. I got a few low spots here I might do a little something with, and anyway, it ought to look just fine here in just a few minutes, I would think. When you guys are out here sanding these big panels, don't be surprised if they don't have a little bit of flex to them here and there. This one's pretty rigid considering all that fiberglass we put on there. But like right here, you can see, just like any hood or roof or anything, there is a little bit of flex. And a lot of times when you're running across here with your sander, you'll kind of notice that you're kind of pushing down on it. Don't do that. You want to just let the sandpaper do the work. Hold on to it really lightly and just kind of let that thing float along through there. You got to be patient. Let the tool do the work. If you push on that with that flexing, you're just going to dig out a spot, and you don't want to do that. So just let that sander just kind of float around on the top. You don't want to give it a lot of pressure, especially on big panels where they do tend to flex a little bit. So at this point, I do think we're ready. It was time to start masking. I've already gone around the windows, got everything prepped on both sides. And down in here, the grooves, I've taken my sandpaper and I've worked down in there. Got all that sanded all the way around, all the way down in here, same thing. You want to get it all sanded all the way around. The channel, just like I mentioned, it's all nice and clean. We're good to go. None of that old butyl tape or anything oozing out in the channel anymore. I got all that cleaned up, so this ought to be nice. We'll mask off the window, obviously, of course, and then we'll have to do the trim too. And something else I'm thinking is that we'll have to run us some paper or plastic or something. I don't know if that bed liner you know, if that bed liner material will run down under this channel. I mean, we're going to tape this off, but it could still run in behind it and run down that. That would suck. So I'm going to go ahead and just mask the whole car off just as if you were going to paint it, even though it is a little bit overkill. There's no overspray involved. We're going to roll this stuff on. But like I said, I don't want nothing running down the panel. So we'll go the extra mile on it. Let's get our plastic pulled out here. Should be able just to kind of cut it off right here. I don't think I got to drape it over the edges or anything. Sometimes if you'll just take and twist this up. Do like that really easy. You get this all spread out. If you'll notice, it has writing on it, and you want that to face up. That's the side you want to paint. And if you'll notice right here, it'll actually say paint this side. So get all that spread out. Make sure you got it facing the right way. Now, I don't know what will happen if you use this upside down, and I don't want to find out, so I've always just done it the way they say. If they say paint this side, then that's the side I'm going to paint. It's my luck. If we were to paint the wrong side, it would probably all flake off and screw us up. So I don't take the chance. I just do it the way they say to do it. I figure there's a reason why they say to paint that side, right? And just like always, all we got to do is come through and just cut out the panel that we're actually going to paint and just leave the plastic everywhere else. Pretty easy. Okay, so this is what we start off with, you know, in case anybody's missed it. I know I've showed this in other videos, but in case you're new to the videos, you know, you just drape the plastic over the whole entire car, and then you just come back and you cut it all out and tape it up just like we did the other side over here. I've already done this whole side here. Everything is cut around, and all that's left behind is the parts you don't want any overspray or whatever on, you know, and we do that all the way around the entire car, front and back, everything. And then all this is all that's going to be exposed, the part that we're working on. I don't know any faster way to mask than that. I mean, you could do all the paper and all that if you wanted to, I guess, but you know, a good roll of plastic and a razor blade is, to me, by far the best way, just to drape it over it, cut the pieces out that you're painting, and go right on. It's worth mentioning, always use a good plastic. If you get the old stuff from Walmart, chances are it's not going to work good, and what will happen is you will paint your first coat on, you'll come back to paint your second coat on, and as soon as you hit it, all of that overspray will flake right off of the plastic and go right into your wet paint. You don't want that, so use a good plastic. Okay, so with it all masked up, I'm gonna wipe it off with my glass cleaner. So I've got my lint-free paper towels. I just take my glass cleaner. This is the kind I like to use, unsponsored content, but this stuff is awesome. I use it all the time. I've been using it for years. And I'm just gonna kind of hit up my, my little lint-free paper towel here. We'll fold it over into 4, right? And I could come through here and just kind of wipe this off, and it's gonna get up some of the dust that you see it there. It's going to get up some of the dust that the air hose left behind, and then of course after that we'll come through with a tack cloth. By the time we do all that, we ought to be good enough. So here's our bed liner kit. I got this at Walmart for like, I think 65 bucks for the gallon, and then I bought a little applicator kit with a tray. I don't remember, like another $10, something like that. So not too bad. We're about $75 into this so far as these materials go. Seemed kind of reasonable, I guess. They had a better kit up there that was a 2-part epoxy. Kind of wish I would have went with that, but it was a little more expensive. Probably worth it though. Anything epoxy is good, right? So this stuff is, golly, this looks super thick. Look at this. That's thick like roofing tar. That's what we want though. We want it to be nice and thick. We'll stir this up a little bit. Make sure it's all stirred up thoroughly. As with any kind of paint materials or primers, any of that stuff, you want to make sure you get it stirred up really nice. Probably wouldn't hurt to give it a good shake even if you can. So I'll work on this for a few minutes and then we'll pour it into our tray. See if we can pour a little in here without making too big of a mess. Now we're going to start off by going around the windows, so I don't need to fill this up too much as of yet. There we go. Something like that. So my kit came with this little stubby brush. It's kind of stiff. We'll go ahead and we'll kind of dab it into our stuff there. And we're going to kind of dab it into this area. I'm going to start in the middle. This is what they recommend doing. Dabbing it like that. They don't want you to brush it. And the idea is we're going to create kind of a textured look. And this is going to mimic a vinyl top, right? They always kind of have that little bit of a textury look to them. So that's what we're going for. Let's see if we actually achieve it. That doesn't look too bad. It's going on nice. I like that. Yeah, you see where I'm just kind of dabbing it down into that little crevice there, that little channel. And so far, man, that actually does look like a vinyl roof. Now, when it comes to down in this channel, I don't want to build it up too thick, so I'm not going to get super carried away. I'm kind of really just going for coverage, mostly down in there. Not really wanting to build up anything. Let's go over here. Let's load our brush again. And we will start down in this channel, because why not? Just doing a little dabbing there. Now, when we get out here to the A-pillar part, I could probably just roll that, but I guess we could do it this way too if we wanted, but could probably just do the roller actually and get away with it just fine. Kind of get that texture on this side of the channel as well. Same thing over here. And then up here as well. Remember, we went down in the channel. Now we need to make sure we still got that same textured look on this part of the channel as well. It's hard to do this and film at the same time. Hope I'm getting it all right for y'all. This is actually kind of fun, to be honest. I'm actually enjoying this. And it's working out so far. I was skeptical, to be perfectly honest. And this is actually working. And it's, so far, from what I could tell, we are achieving exactly what I was going for. It's always nice, right? So I'm gonna keep working on this. Getting it all down in the channel for now, like I mentioned. And we will come back with the roller after I get all of this done first. So it is worth mentioning that every surface, every square inch of this that I'm putting this stuff on has been sanded. It's all been sanded. You want to make sure everything is prepped exactly the way the directions say to, and that could vary from manufacturer to manufacturer. So you definitely want to read the directions. And we've done everything that they said to do. It's all prepped. It's all cleaned. And so we shouldn't have any problems with this. And check this out, man. We are actually achieving the texture that I was hoping for. Look, that very closely mimics one of those vinyl roofs. Look at that. That is awesome, man. I was kind of skeptical a little bit. That is working. Look at that. That is working, y'all. Okay, so I worked my way all the way around the car. This was our starting point. We've now made it all the way around, and this stuff is already dry to the touch. And they say once it's dry to the touch, you can go on with a second coat. So for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to get the roller out. And here's our roller. It kind of has a rough little foam pad on it there. So get some good texture. And we're going to start rolling this stuff on. Let's go ahead and fill up our tray. I'm going to fill it up pretty good considering the size of this roof. I think we're going to burn through some materials, what it seems like. There we go. We'll keep our brush handy just in case we missed anything. All right, here we go. Let's load up our applicator here. Let's give it a shot. Start here and work our way back. Now my biggest thing right now is I just want to know what that texture is going to look like. Is it too rough, or is it not rough enough? And so far, that looks pretty decent. Just want to work it all in there. Get it kind of even. Remember, this is just coat number 1. We're definitely going to go back over it a second time. I promise you that. Rolls on pretty easy though. That's nice. Oh yeah, that stuff rolls on nice. Look at that. Might as well go ahead and just come on down here. That way all of our texture matches just right. Be smart. Work from the middle out. So on something this size, we don't want to be leaning over it. So that's the gist of it right there. Man, I think this is gonna work, y'all. I'm kind of blown away by how well this is working, actually. I knew it was going to be forgiving. I didn't know it was going to be that forgiving. So basically, we were definitely going into overkill when it came to doing the bodywork on this roof. I probably could have left that skim coat out of it. But whatever. What's done is done. And at least we know without a doubt, man, all this is going to cover up. And it's not going to leave any kind of big old crevices or divots or any of that kind of stuff. So yeah, this stuff covers very well. I feel like I haven't hardly used any of it so far. Get it right there. I'm glad I went the extra mile on the masking because your boy's clumsy, y'all. Yeah, I already had a little mishap there. Thank God we had the plastic on there. Be out here all day trying to clean up my mess. That's not a good way to spend your day. So there we go, man. That's looking right. The cool thing about this stuff is you could go through and kind of roll on it here, you know, get your texture the way you want it, and then it will kind of self-level itself out. Kind of smooths up so your brush strokes and stuff like that go away. So really nice. So there you have it, man. There's half of it so far. We barely used up any material at all. And God, man, that looks so much better than what we started out with. Look at that. So let me finish up this other half and then we'll have one full coat on it. And I'll check in with you guys in just a minute. All right, there goes the last of the ugly, y'all. Look at that. Nice. We are just about to have one full coat on. Got a little more here to go on this cell panel. This stuff covers very well. I'm impressed. This is the cheap stuff, y'all. Rarely am I like really impressed with the cheap stuff. But I am on this one. So far. That could always change. So, anyway. Yeah, like I said, man, that's the last of the ugly. There we go. We have full coverage. I will go around here, check it all out, make sure everything is completely covered, and then we're just going to let it dry to the touch. Okay, so the whole first coat is on. I just want to kind of go over, check it out. Make sure anything weird, nothing excessively heavy, nothing excessively light. We just want everything to be kind of uniform. And now we just let it dry. Come through, you could touch the tape. All right, so I did let it dry for about, I'd say about 2, maybe 2.5 hours. It's dry to the touch. I mean, check it out. They say to let it dry between 2 to 4 hours, or at least till it's dry to the touch, and we've got that. And that's what you want to do if you want to put another coat on it. We are definitely going to put another coat on it. Go through and stir it up again. You want to stir this stuff every time you use it. Doesn't take much, just a little bit. All right. In case you're wondering how I cleaned my roller out, Soap and hot water is all it takes for this stuff here. Get off of there. There we go. So it is really easy cleanup. That was cool. I think just like before, we'll start out up in the windshield channel, just like we did on the first go around. And we're gonna sit and we're gonna dab it in there. I switched up brushes in case you didn't notice. I kind of like this one better. So yeah, we'll just repeat that entire process all over again. It only takes about, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes per coat, you know, to put them on. And the main thing I could say, you know, as far as what to deal with, what you're going to end up dealing with the most is, one thing, it's messy, but the other thing is you want to make sure to get it on evenly. I mean, that is really, really important, that everything gets put on nice and even. We want to build up a nice thick layer of this stuff. Protect all of this. Want it to all be watertight and all of that. So you never know, man. We get this thing watertight enough, it may actually surprise you. It might last a lot longer than what we're hoping. I mean, I figure if I get a couple of years out of this, I'll be happy with it, because we ain't got hardly no money into it, just time mostly. We've got a good, you know, the better part of a weekend. That's what we got into it right now. And I would say by the time start to finish all together for all the materials, I mean everything, sandpaper, every little grinding disc. I mean, if you want to get really technical, welding wire to weld in those panels that we welded in underneath to kind of make it a little stronger. If you want to get really technical and add up every little thing, I guarantee you we don't have more than $200 into this. So I'm very pleased with the way this is working out. I'm not disappointed, not even slightly. So anyway, we'll keep rolling this on there, and depending on how it looks when we're done with this coat, that's what's going to determine whether or not I put on a third coat. Because I was debating on maybe putting on a third coat, get this sucker built up really nice and thick, kind of fill in any of the little imperfections that we got, which this filled those up immediately. So I'm liking how this is working out. I'm liking the fact that it was really cheap. That's the best part, right? Man, I sure am glad this stuff washes off easy. But yeah, you see what I mean here? This is really turning out nice. You would never know that this cell panel had a big giant rust hole in it. I mean, look at it now. That's really cool. I left the holes in it there, you see? That's for the emblem. We're gonna stick those right back on when this is done. I can't wait. I think it's gonna really set it off, make it look good. Let's see. See how that, I don't know if you can tell, but that kind of has a line in it right there. Man, all you gotta do is just that little number there. She's gone. Just kind of come through here. Just do this. It's nothing. It's not rocket science. It's really easy. All the little roller, the marks that the roller makes, they just go away. So, really cool. This part back here, remember I was talking about, I wasn't even sure if I was going to do that or not, but I did it, and I'm happy with it. I think that's going to look really good. We'll just go ahead and roll that on right through there. Yeah, I like it, just like that. And again with the brush and the dabbing in the old windshield channel there. When you do that, make sure you go back over this part with the roller. Don't just leave it. But man, this ought to seal everything up really good. You see how I'm getting the brush, the dab marks up on the top. I don't want that, but not to worry. Like I said, very forgiving stuff. All we got to do that little number there, and the problem goes away just like that. So cool. Got it like that. We'll come down this side here. I don't want to build up a lot of material down in this channel, but I do want some down in there. I think it'll kind of help tie it all together, make it look like it's supposed to. And it'll give a little more protection too. You know, if you seal up any of this rust, if it may have had some still on there that might have escaped us, if you'll seal it up, it won't be able to spread any further because it has to have oxygen to grow. So unless it's eating through from the back side, if you get the top side of it sealed off, that rust should kill off, man. It shouldn't be an issue after that. So there it is after 2 full coats. And this is how much we used. Half. We've only used half, man. And I put 2 full coats on this thing. So we're doing good, man. Let's get some of this poured back in here. And I'll take it off into the house and wash it out in the sink. My wife loves it when I do that. Remember, this stuff is actually water soluble, so some hot water, some soap, man, it rinses right off of your roller and your brush and everything, so really cool. Speaking of my wife, as most of you guys know, she was in the hospital having surgery, and she pulled through, and you guys were so awesome, man. All the well wishes and the prayers, very much appreciated. You guys helped us get through that night, especially me. She was out, she was drugged up, she was out, dude. I was the one that was awake, kind of keeping my eye on everything, and I was worried. And you guys helped ease my mind. Just sitting there reading all those comments, you know. Those comments were coming in while she was laying right beside me in the hospital bed. And it was really cool being able to have all that to read. And man, the prayers and the well wishes were just a flooding in that night. You guys are great. Okay, so I'm going to let all that dry. And I'll come out here in a couple of hours to check it. And I'm just going to decide then if I want a 3rd coat or not. If it looks good after it dries, I'll leave it. I'll leave it just like it is right now. I'm actually happy with that. It's a little bit splotchy, and it'll do that at first as it dries. But man, I mean, even at the way it looks right now is like just 1,000 times better than what it was, right? Well, all right. It is the next morning. I came out here, and everything was nice and dry. It had a slight little bit of tackiness to it. Wasn't anything major at all. And you know what? I decided to go for it and put a 3rd coat on, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now. Just kind of rolling it out, kind of giving it a final little go over here. In case I didn't mention it before, 50% overlap with your roller, okay? And you see here, I'm going to show you something. You see how I'm coming off the edge here and it's kind of spinning? Well, don't hit it again while it's still spinning. Let it stop. And then go on with your next pass, because it will actually leave like a mark there when the roller hits it. You don't want that. So this is it, man. I mean, this is like the final thing here that I'm doing. And whatever you end up with, that's what you end up with. So, and this is what we ended up with right here. I'm happy with it, man. I think it looks just fine. And what I want to do now is peel the plastic off, maybe send it outside and let the sun hit it for a little while. It's been about an hour-ish since I applied that last coat, and it's tacky, but still has just a slight bit of stickiness to it. They say allowed, you know, between 2 and 4 hours for actual dry time, and like I said, only been about an hour and a half. So anyway, I think if we pulled it outside at this point, that would accelerate our drying process. Let that sun hit it. We got full sunshine today. It's supposed to be close to 80 degrees. It's awesome. So that definitely will help us out in this situation. So you might be kind of curious, which is better? Should you let it dry and then untape it, or should you go ahead and untape it while it's still a little bit wet? Now keep in mind, we already had 2 coats on this that set overnight, and I went ahead and left it taped up, and it's coming off fine. But you know, that's up to you. You do it however you want to. If you think, if you're afraid of the bed liner material bridging over your tape, that's understandable, and you want to go ahead and get it off before it completely hardens. But you can see here, so far so good. I'll let you guys know if we run into any kind of issues with that material bridging over our tape, because that's not cool. We don't want that. So anyway, I'll continue to get this off of here. I'm gonna be kind of careful. You see there? You see what's going on right there? I'll show you. That's what we're talking about. You see how it kind of bridged itself to our tape? When you run into that, you want to be kind of careful. Just deal with it, I guess. So anyway, I'll keep messing with this. Got a little bit of a leak there. We breached our tape. That's not cool. So let me get that cleaned off. Water soluble, like I said, as long as it's not dry. If it's dry, then you'll have to switch to acetone to get it off. I wonder if our sprayway glass cleaner will get us out of this jam. I'm gonna hose this paper towel down and find out. Let's see. I think it'll do all right. It says soapy water, and I guess that would constitute as soapy water pretty much. And yeah, wipe that right off. Let's go clean the car up now. Let's see if we can't get this off of here. Oh yeah, look at that. Was nothing. That was nothing. I'll wipe that right out of there. Get out of here. We don't need you. We don't want you. That's it. Just like that. So yeah, again, with the material bridging onto our tape, I'm going to take a razor blade and just run it right through here. There we go. It just seems to be like right here in this spot that that molding that went around the window. It was fine. Nothing stuck to it, but it got stuck here. So let's see. There we go. Yeah, see? Perfect. It let right loose after that. So not an issue. Peel this on around here. All right, so situation averted. See how this comes off around the windshield. I was kind of concerned about that. Let's see. So far so good, I guess. Yeah. All right. There we go. All right, we're rolling now. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna head over to the other side. I hope y'all don't mind. I actually taped y'all to the antenna. Got the other side going now. Get up around this corner. Everything is pretty well dry enough to the touch that, like, if my plastic was to kind of touch the surface, I don't think it would really matter much. I mean, it's just tacky. It's not wet, so we don't have to be really, really careful when doing this, but I wouldn't want to like lean on it or anything. I'd want to be careful there. Here goes the last little bit off of the front windshield. Nice. Got me a little razor knife here that's seems to be getting the job done, getting us started here. It's working out really nice, actually. You just got to be patient with this stuff, you guys. I mean, you don't want to go through all that work we did and then start rushing it right at the end. I mean, that would be crazy, right? So here we go. Once you get it started, it's not so bad. Anytime you're peeling tape, just go slow, especially when you're working with paint. It's really important that you go slow. You don't want to tear anything. Be really careful. You know, the more careful you are with this stage of it, the less likely you are to rip your tape, and then you got to get down in there and dig everything out with a razor blade, try to get started again. It's never no fun, right? We're on the home stretch now. This is the final piece. What do y'all think, man? The channels, I mean, that all looks pretty good. I think it looks just fine. Let's It's not all globbed up inside of there or anything like that. Looks 100 times better than it did, I'll tell you that much, man. I'm happy with it. I am not disappointed even in the slightest. Well, okay, so there she is, y'all. I went ahead and pulled her outside so y'all could see it in the light. She seems to be drying pretty evenly. I could see just a few little spots here and there where you could kind of see the roller marks, I guess. Well, I guess we'll find out if that's going to come out or not. Either way, whatever, dude. This is way better than it was. It's so much better than it was. I can't say that enough, man. This really does make a huge difference in the car, that's for sure. I mean, look at this. We went from a, what was it before, man? A 40-footer to a 4-footer, y'all. This is great, dude. So anyway, I just wanted to show y'all that. I think it looks awesome. I'm happy with it. Listen, y'all. So man, not bad for a couple $100 or less, and the better part of a weekend is what we've got into this thing. I'm happy, dude. Really, that's nothing compared to what it would have taken to put a whole nother roof on it, which we'll do in the future. Like I've said before in previous videos, I can't say it enough. We will circle back to this thing and we will put an actual roof on it. We'll go through all the trouble that it's going to take to either buy a parts car and remove the roof off of it and put it over on this, or whatever it takes, road trip, whatever it takes to get a roof for this thing. We will do it. We're just not doing it right now. I didn't want to put a lot of time. I didn't want to put a lot of money into it, and I think I've reached my goal by far. Very little money and very little time went into this compared to what it would take to put a whole roof on it. The best part is we can walk away. We're done with this. We could move on to something else, you know, like the floor. I would like to get in there and put some of that undercoating, or a bed liner spray rather, on the floor, coat the whole thing, and then we could put that brand new carpet that someone sent to us. I can't wait to get the carpet in this thing. That is so cool. Somebody sent us the actual carpet that goes in this car. It's already molded all to the floor and everything. All we got to do is just put it in there. So that's going to be really cool. And now we can just move on to that. Just rather than spending weeks or whatever it would take to put that roof on, you know, I only get to do this stuff in my spare time. And a roof project of, you know, actually replacing the roof on this, it could easily tie us up for weeks. So, you know, not right now, man. We ain't doing it right now. Instead, we're going to move on to something else. We got to do exhaust. We've got to do, I'm going to go through the brakes on this thing, make sure it's all good, probably flush out the lines. She needs a tune-up in the worst way. So spark plugs, wires, all of that kind of stuff. Hoses, man, this thing's set out in the yard for years, you know. It's going to have hoses and fan belts, tires. We got to figure out what we're going to do about wheels. Man, I ain't trying to mess with the roof for weeks. So I think we had a good goal in mind of getting out of it cheap and with very little time, and we met that. We met that with flying colors. So moving on. I've been watching lots of videos, people restoring these dashes, man, and it doesn't really look that hard. Time consuming, but not hard. And I don't know, man, maybe we should tackle a dash restore, you know, restore, maybe do a little video series on that. I mean, we don't want to put our new carpet in there, have all that brand new, and then have that old busted up dash. So yeah, we'll have to do something with that. A windshield, man, we need a windshield for this thing. So yeah, we'll need to do something about that as well. Some of you guys keep asking about the windows for the shutters for the headlights and want to know if they work or not. And as of right now, they do not. And I've heard all kinds of stories about how that is a project in and of itself to get those working again. And so, hey, you know, we could do a video on that as well, trying to get through that. I've never messed with anything like that before, so it should be interesting. It'll be a learning process for sure. But I'm sure we can figure something out and get that worked out. That'd be cool to have those working again. They worked when I got it, but it's sitting out in the yard with the hood up. I mean, that little motor right there just got pounded. It wasn't good for it. The weather took its toll on it, and now it doesn't work right. And it may just be a simple fact of just needing to get in there and oil it and clean it up, take it apart, clean it out real good, and because it's just seized. But you know, the gears and everything in it was working just fine when I parked that there, so shouldn't be anything in it broken. I don't think there is. I had promised you guys on the last Fury video that I was going to put these skirts on and let y'all see it with the skirts on it. Hey, we still got our vampire dagger in there. It's not going anywhere. Now, I've never done this before, and I was looking on here to see if there's anywhere for, you see how it's got these dowels sticking up here? There's nowhere for any of that to go. There's supposed to be like a bracket or something. I don't know. We'll give it a shot, man. See if we can't figure this out. I've never done this before. Let's see here. It shouldn't be like rocket science, right? How in the world? You know what? I think this is the wrong side. I think this goes on the other side. Yeah, they had it on that side of the trunk, so I just assumed that was the way it went. Now, you know what? I just found there's a hole right here. Okay, so it makes sense when you actually have it on the right side. So there's a hole there for that to go into. You guys, some of y'all's probably screaming at the TV right now. Bear with me, man. I've never done this before. Good grief. This is the first time for everything right now. So this, I guess, just goes up like that and then clicks into that bracket. There we go. See, I figured it out. Yeah, they threw me off because they had it on the wrong side. They got the driver's side on the passenger side and the passenger side on the driver's side. I think they're funny. Alright, so see, I was thinking there was like a, so you have to put that one in, got to put that one in first. I was thinking there was something missing, and it turns out there ain't nothing missing. I'm just stupid. So let's see. This one's kind of hard to get up in there. Let's see here. Oh. Good Lord. There we go. All right, it's in. Give him a quick little wipe down here. I ain't seen daylight in ages. All right, what do y'all think, man? Skirts or no skirts? I like it. It's tucking lug nuts. That's what we wanted before, remember? Yeah, it looks pretty good. You guys be sure to leave me a comment. What do y'all think? Skirt or no skirt? I don't know, man. I think it looks pretty good with them on there. I could go either way, I guess. I don't know. It definitely ain't hurting my feelings having them on there, that's for sure. Gonna give you guys a really close-up look, the best I can. Give y'all a really good idea of how the texture looks. It's definitely not too excessive. I don't believe so at all. And it kind of does mimic that vinyl roof look. I mean, in a way, good enough. That's right where that's gonna go. That looks really cool, man. Looking here at the windshield channel, that looks pretty good. Nice and smooth in there, you know? Smooth in there, look at that. Yeah, all the windshield channels look great. All the way around back here looks nice. And man, how about that? You remember that sail panel? It had a gigantic hole in it, man. It just looked terrible. It was definitely the worst spot on the whole roof. It was in bad shape. So hey everybody, I think that's going to do it on this one. I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. I appreciate everybody following along. I know it's kind of long and boring, but that's kind of how these projects are. Lots of steps, man. And considering what we started out with, I think we needed to take all the precautions possible to try to make sure that this stuff stays on here. It'd be a shame to go through all that work and then have this stuff just kind of blowing off in the wind, right? Be sure to tune in on the next video. Maybe we'll get in there, we'll coat the floor down, get past that to where we can put a new carpet in like we talked about. Also, I've got a brand new transmission filter and a new pan gasket. I mean, it needs it in the worst way. This thing's actually leaking transmission fluid quite excessively, so I'd like to go ahead and get that in there. While we're at it, I think I'm going to break the pressure washer out, man. We got a brand new pressure washer donated to us from a subscriber, and I haven't even got to use it yet. And this would be a great project to break that thing out on. She's pretty greasy, as you guys can see. Lots of dirt, lots of nastiness. So this would make a great candidate for some good pressure washing videos, I would think. Then, of course, we got silly stuff like that going on that's going to have to get addressed. It's all those little things that add up the most, right? The devil is in the details, as they say, so we got lots to do on this one, that's for sure. Y'all be sure to check me out on Instagram and Facebook so you get a notification every time I put a video out. So please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I really do appreciate it. And I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here, everybody. See y'all later.